Penguin Random House Audio presents The Waste-Free World: How the Circular Economy Will Take Less, Make More, and Save the Planet, by Ron Gonen. Read for you by Dan Bittner. I dedicate this book to my mom, who taught me about worth ethic and dedication, to Paul and Linda for their support, and to my wife and children for being my passion. Introduction. Beyond Sustainability to Renewal. Walking along a pathway rimmed on both sides by fields of lush, knee-high green grass, I find myself in awe that I'm strolling on terrain once dominated by New York City's most appalling eyesore, perhaps even more offensive to the nose, the infamous Fresh Kills landfill. Its recent transformation is a testament to the vigor with which nature can restore the beauty and ecological richness that had been stolen. Once a vibrant wetland estuary named for its fresh streams, Fresh Kills was foraged in the early 20th century by a thriving Italian immigrant community seeking wild mushrooms and grapes, dandelions and watercress, its waterways harvested for mud shrimp, steamer clams, and oysters. When the area was selected in 1947 for the dumping of virtually all of New York City's trash, some Staten Islanders were so alarmed that they proposed the island secede from the city. As feared, the 2,200 acres were transformed into 4 moldering mountains of foul refuse said to smell like rotting blue cheese. At 250 feet, they towered higher than the neighboring Statue of Liberty, comprising not only the world's biggest landfill, but the largest man-made structure on the planet, their volume exceeding even that of the Great Wall of China's. Finally, after decades of public outcry, the landfill was closed in 2001. New York City then launched a year-long restoration effort, covering vast swaths of refuse with layers of lining, topped with soil and planted with wild grasses, to transform Fresh Kills into a beautifully landscaped park featuring undulating wildflower meadows, kayaking, and canoeing. A profusion of wildlife returned, from butterflies, bees, and bats to blue herons, sparrows, ospreys, owls, and large raptors called fishhawks. Even deer, coyote, and red foxes have ventured into the rapidly rewilding stretches of grassland and forest. Rounding a bend in the path, I spot the dense foliage of what arborist William Bryant Logan has described as a forest engaged in a furious battle of renewal, with tangles of bittersweet and poison ivy vines tearing down red maple, mulberry, and black cherry strivers, from whose exposed roots new shoots fight their way toward the sky, a battle known by foresters, Logan explains, as phoenix regeneration. Fresh Kills has become an exemplar of the ecological wizardry by which the natural world, when given the chance, can heal itself. As we enter a new decade, our industrialized human economy has the opportunity to follow nature's lead. We've been scammed. How could the monstrosity of the Fresh Kills landfill ever have seemed like a solution to the rapidly spiking volumes of refuse Americans began generating during the economic boom that followed World War II? Fresh Kills became the most ludicrous representation of a perverted form of capitalism that established dumping on publicly owned land as an inalienable right of major industries. Its mountains of garbage proliferated in less glaring fashion all around the U.S. as industrial and consumer goods giants shirked off responsibility for the horribly wasteful throwaway economy they hooked Americans on. They passed themselves off as free market capitalists, but their profits are in fact heavily dependent on taxpayers funding the disposal of their products in landfills. Without taxpayers footing that bill, a modern form of socialism, their profits would be seriously diminished. I learned firsthand just how absurd our wasteful system is in 2012, when I was appointed as the Deputy Commissioner for Sanitation, Recycling, and Sustainability for New York City. I was tapped by Mayor Michael Bloomberg because I had co-founded a startup in 2003, Recycle Bank, that boosted recycling rates in cities all around the country. I was appalled by the deception perpetrated not only on New Yorkers, but on the public all around the country and on people all over the planet by coalitions of waste profiteers. They've richly benefited from a take-make-waste economic system at the great expense of consumers, consumer goods companies, city and town governments, and the health of the planet. In New York City, over $300 million was being spent annually exporting waste to landfills in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and South Carolina. Most of it could have been recycled locally, avoiding this costly tax burden. That $300 million would be enough to nearly double the number of teachers or the number of police officers in the city. Or it could have been used for a tax cut without having adverse effects on municipal services. This literal waste of taxpayer money is repeated in almost every city in the United States. Even in cities with excellent recycling service and participation, far too much waste that could be eliminated with efficiencies in packaging or by being recycled locally is sent to landfills. The result is that for the past few decades, U.S. cities have spent billions on exporting waste that could have been used instead to improve infrastructure and social services. At RecycleBank, our technology allowed us to offer points to households based on the volume of recyclables they put out in their bin, which could be used to shop at supermarkets, restaurants, and family entertainment spots. When we partnered with cities or individuals that signed up for our service, we explained that the public pays vast sums to landfill companies to haul and dump commodities like paper, metal, glass, and plastic that could be sold to recycling firms. And we showed that neighbors who were recycling were unknowingly footing some of the disposal bill for their neighbors who weren't. Why should anyone have to pay more in taxes just because some of their neighbors disposed of potential revenue? When people realize the direct cost of their waste to their household and the potential value of recycling it, behaviors change. We found that people hadn't understood the direct economic value of recycling because, as with green initiatives generally, recycling is so often disparaged as pointless do-gooderism. As we'll explore more fully later, that's propaganda from companies and industries with a vested financial interest in undermining recycling. Too often, the press has been a willing participant in perpetuating the fictitious story that environmental conservation and restoration are contrary to our economic interests. The good news is that Americans currently recycle over 90 million tons of metal, paper, plastics, electronics, textiles, and glass annually. If they didn't, communities collectively would have to pay an additional $3 billion annually in landfill disposal fees. What's more, they would forego the more than $100 billion in economic activity generated by the recycling industry in the U.S., including 540,000 American jobs. Recycling can also reduce the cost of the materials to make the products we buy, which can bring down prices. Recycling, in short, is a matter of economic self-interest. For cities with advanced recycling infrastructure and strong local markets for recycled material, it's proved an economic boon. New York City, for example, has a long-term public-private partnership with Pratt Industries to convert all its waste paper locally into new paper products that are sold back into the New York City market. The city is paid for every ton of paper its residents recycle, as opposed to a cost of over $100 per ton to send paper or anything else to a landfill. In Minneapolis, Eureka Recycling teamed up with the city to invest in local community outreach focused on keeping their recycling stream clean of contamination. Minneapolis now has one of the lowest contamination rates of any city in the country, with Eureka sharing the profits with the city. Cities around the country create significant local economic value with best-in-class recycling service, including Sims Municipal Recycling and Pratt Industries in New York City, Lakeshore Recycling Systems in Chicago, Recology in San Francisco and Seattle, Rumpke in Ohio, and Balcones Resources in Austin. Yet it's shocking how long it took America to start building this infrastructure, and that such a large number of American communities.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?